Tucker Carlson seems to be a little confused about sexual orientation in general. On a segment from Wednesday's Tucker Carlson Tonight, he showed that he has zero understanding of what it means for someone to be bisexual. And so he uses the example of Oregon's governor. Take a look.
Kate Brown was first elected governor of Oregon way back in 2015. At the time, there was not a whole lot going on in Oregon, so voters didn't ask many questions. The one thing they did learn about Kate Brown over and over again is that she is a self-described bisexual. Why is this relevant? Well, the media didn't explain. They told us, without exactly explaining what it meant, that this fact was historic and it was highly thrilling. Kate Brown's sex life was shattering ceilings. Woohoo! And yet, if you looked a little closer, you noticed something a little weird. Actually, Kate Brown was married to a man. Yes, he had a different last name, but he was still, as they say on TikTok, binary. He was a dude. That's fine, of course, but it was also a little confusing.
Why is it confusing? Okay. Why is that weird? Why is that weird? Why is that even relevant? Again, it doesn't make any sense, right? So let me explain. All right. People who are bisexual, all that means is that the sex of the person that they're with matters less than the person that they're with. You see what I mean? They can have romantic feelings of members from both sexes. Could have fallen in love with a woman, could have fallen in love with a man, which obviously she did, and vice versa. A bisexual man could be attracted to both men and women, obviously, and have sexual relations with either. Same for a bisexual woman. That's not weird. It's actually really simple. So simple, a white, married, cisgendered male can explain it to you. A fellow, I should say, white, male, cisgendered person. And by the way, for those of you who are asked what cisgender means, it basically describes a person whose gender identity matches the sex that they were assigned at birth. So there you go. I was born a male. I present as a male. My life is a male. It's super simple. This is not complicated. Okay. By the way, so now why is it relevant? Why am I talking about this? Well, here's the issue. So now, without any sort of evidence, I know, shocker, or anything to back him up, Tucker Carlson then asserts that you can't actually ask about these things. Here's that.
How does having a groom at her wedding make Kate Brown an official member of the LGBTQ exclamation point community? No one bothered to ask. That kind of curiosity was forbidden. It was like wondering why we don't call Barack Obama half white, which he is. It's not allowed. Stop with the questions. Celebrate. So voters in Oregon dutifully celebrated.
Oh, it's forbidden. Oh, you can't ask these questions. Well, actually, no, you can. You can absolutely ask those questions. Look, here's the thing. It wasn't too long ago that there was a time where I didn't know much about people who identified as, for example, non-binary or asexual. And you know what I did? I asked. Nicely, respectfully, of course. And now I know. And then I can assign, of course, the proper pronouns and things that make people generally comfortable, right? So now the thing is, okay, about Tucker's narrative and why this is very problematic and why I'm actually talking about this is, for one, of course, it's bi erasure. So he's trying to erase bisexual people. And that happens to be a problem in the bisexual community, them being erased for example, marrying a member of the opposite sex, as Kate Brown did. And also why it matters, why people were celebrating Kate Brown as governor, being the first bisexual governor, is because, well, there hasn't been any of those before. Anyway, so now the other thing, and this is more important, it's more detailed, he wants his viewers to believe that you are not allowed to ask these questions, that you are not allowed to be curious to know about other people, okay? And understand that this is actually based on a real fear, a real thing that experience. People are generally hesitant to ask those questions, you know, for fear of course, being rude or trying to pry into people's personal lives. And I absolutely understand that. I get it. But what Carlson is doing is then using and feeding into that fear and making it seem that if you are confused about what non-binary means, or bisexual means, or you don't quite understand the concepts behind that, which is, again, it is okay to not understand these things, as long as you're, of course, actually trying to find out what that really is, and it's based on a legitimate curiosity. But he wants them to think that no, if you have that curiosity, well, then you're going to be deemed a terrible person, you're going to be a bigot, and so therefore you should not ask. So for his viewers, if they believe that somebody's going to bite their head off for having this genuine curiosity, which is not the same as bigotry, okay? Those are two different things, very different things. Then they're going to be attacked and maligned and called terrible names by the left. Okay. And what that does is it reinforces the conservative victimhood narrative, and also makes sure that they never understand people who happen to be different and will feel alienated and isolated from the rest of the country, who happens to be much more open and accepting than people in his audience. Part of acceptance, of course, is understanding. When you get to know people, when you get to understand them, you realize, for one, there's no threat to you, your marriage, your kids, your life, or anything like that for asking these questions. And then, of course, when you do ask these questions, and when you do get to know people, when you get to talk to them, you realize that all they want to do is to live their lives and be respected as human beings. That's it. That's it. I've uncovered the gay agenda. The gay agenda is to be able to live your life. Wow. Wow. Oh my God. I figured it out. You don't think Tucker Carlson, big brain Tucker Carlson, could actually figure that out by himself? No, he already knows. And again, he's playing the audience. And that's what this is. Carlson is using this as a culture war issue in order to keep Americans divided among cultural lines, to make sure that people do not learn about their neighbors, people in their communities, and to keep, of course, culture war Republicans in power, Republicans who run on these things, so that they can eventually lower Tucker Carlson's taxes. And so that also people will continue to tune into his channel so they can find out what they need to be mad about today. Because that's the real only function that Tucker Carlson's show serves. Telling people what culture war issue they should be mad at. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.